niches you have, the harder it's going to be for you to succeed. Coach, how could you say that? Because when you are trying to speak to too many people at once, you tend to water down your message to every single person. Like, you got to think about it. If, let's just say, if you are a single mom and I can put out a message that's pertaining to you. If I talk about everything in regards to being a single mom and the hardships and the struggles of being a single mom, you're gonna feel me more than I say the struggles of people, that the struggles that everyday people face. Like, you'll get it, like, okay, as a person I face those, but my message specifically to you, if you're a single mom, is gonna be way more impactful. So that's the importance of niching down. Now, with that being said, am I completely opposed and no to having multiple niches? No. My recommendation is to stick to as least as possible, which is one at least. But let's say if you did want to choose two, or God, try not to go go past three, then I think there are ways you can make it work. So what I'm going to do in this video is really give you some ideas on what you can do to actually make your message land. If you like, all right, there's just two, like, please just give me like two I can do. So I'm just gonna give you a couple ideas, choosing multiple niches. So yes, you can choose it as a coach. Now, with that being said, what does that really look like in terms of being effective in the marketplace? What does it look like in terms of being effective in terms of like your messaging, in terms of being effective in your clients? What are some things you really need to think about? So it's hard enough already starting up a business, right? It's a little bit more easy in our industry because as coaches and as speakers, we tend to not have as much overhead, which it's a blessing in itself, because you don't got to spend, employees and staff and all of that good stuff, right? So like, that's what the blessing is. The curse with it is that you might find yourself thinking that it's easier than, you might find yourself jumping into it thinking that it ain't any work required at all, right? It's still a business. So you got to realize that it's not just about coaching or just jumping into helping people or speaking. It's also about being able to actually run the business side of it. And it makes it hard from a business perspective. From a speaking perspective, it makes it easier. Oh, I could talk about this topic, one video, or in the same video, I could talk about this topic. I could talk about anything I want to talk about when I'm running my mouth. It's easy when you're talking. It's harder when you're trying to build a business and you're trying to get clients, because people are only going to work with you if they feel like you could solve a specific problem. And if you're solving everything for everybody, then they're not gonna feel compelled enough. So couple ideas on that. So one, when you're looking to, let's say you got two niches you're looking to help people with, or two different, let's say, audiences. When I say niches, there's two ways you can think about niches. You could think about niches in terms of your audience and like two different audiences, right? So I can say, for example, I want to help authors and I also want to help coaches, for example, right? Those are two different roles, two different types of people. Those are two different niche, right? Niche audiences. Or you can have niche topics. So niche topic could literally mean I focus on mindset, and I focus on business, I focus on health, and I focus on relationships, right? And anything in between, right? So that's what it is. I focus on, e-commerce, and then I focus on motivational speaking, right? Whatever it is. So that's what it is. Now, if you're choosing those two, my first suggestion to you would be, it's much easier if the topics are related. Meaning the topic is closely related to each other, or the niche audiences is closely related. So if, like, for example, so let's go back to authors and coaches, for example. So for authors and coaches, let's use authors and speakers because that's more real, and I have a program behind that. So let's say coaches and speakers. So since that's the case, those are two different, because you have some people who may want to speak and may not want to coach, and then you have some people that want to coach and may not want to speak, right? But what's great about it is that it is closely integrated. So I would say there's no reason you should definitely be doing both, because the audiences are going to be so related if the topics are related. So for example, if I go around and I help, let's just say I help people with business, well, my idea on, if I'm going out and I'm doing speaking engagements on business, and I might be going to corporations, or I might be going to nonprofits, I might be going to, I might just be online speaking about it. I might be, on podcasts speaking about business. So I'm going around town and I'm online speaking about business. Okay, well, sometimes I might get a check, sometimes I might not get a check. However, when I'm going to speak, people who are interested in business are going to be listening to me, right? Those are going to be the people that are going to be in the audience. If I also have a coaching program that allows people to enroll, what I've essentially done is I've spoken to, I've done one medium in terms of me actually going out to speak, and people might be involved in, let's say, so I'll get clients from speaking. Let me make this more clear for you. Let's say that the topics that I'm speaking about is coaching and is speaking, right? Or I might just do a speaking engagement just about speaking. Let's talk about that. So I'm doing a speaking engagement about how to be a speaker. People are interested in becoming speakers. But guess what? Because as a speaker, you're helping, our goal is transformation in whatever it is. I know that if you're willing to speak on it, you're probably going to be open to creating a program around it, because people who have a message and want to transform lives really don't care about the modality. I mean, they care about it, but it makes sense to have multiple modalities if you want to transform the most amount of lives. So if I'm going to go out and I'm going to speak on business, then I'm also going to coach on business. If I'm going to coach on business, I'm probably going to have a business book. If I'm going to have a book, I'm probably going to create a course. Does that make sense? So for me, I can say, all right, I want to help coaches, but in the marketplace, I could also say that I want to help speakers, because I know if I get coaches, they're probably going to want to speak, and if I get speakers, they're probably also going to want to coach. So, but that's because it's similar. So it's not going to be that much harder for me to go out in a marketplace and talk about what it's like, to be a coach and be successful as a coach, and then me come out with something in relation to speaking, and it's not like you're not going to be interested, because it's very similar. You want to speak on a topic. Now, that's totally different. That's a lot easier if I'm doing that versus I'm helping coaches and I'm helping chefs, right? Like, there's no correlation, right? If some people who want to be chefs, they just want to learn how to cook, or you know what I'm saying? So they don't have nothing to do with coaching. So it'll make it harder, especially in regards to my message in the marketplace, in terms of if I'm trying to put out content to attract coaches and attract chefs, it's going to be hard, because chefs are going to be attracted to that, and coaches are going to be attracted to, right? Two separate things. So keep in mind that you want to try to keep it as tightly knit as possible, the niches. Another suggestion that I would make is making sure that you give examples for both. So whatever your topics are, you want to be talking about both in the marketplace, but you want to be giving examples to both, because you're going to be attracting people for both. Like, try to stay away from the general, because there's a difference between Terrell going into the world and talking about the general struggles of people and general personal development struggles, and this is what you need to do to achieve your goals, and this is what happens if you don't persevere, and this is what happens if you're experiencing, let's say if you're experiencing trauma trying to do business. That's a completely different message than, as a coach, when you struggle with confidence, this is how it's going to show up in your business. As a speaker, when you struggle with self-esteem and confidence, this is how it's going to show up on stage. You feel what I'm saying? That message is a lot tighter than if I'm just talking generally about people struggling in business or people struggling in life. So I see too many coaches make mistakes of wanting to coach people on so many different topics, and then not making their message consistent enough, not making their message impactful enough, because of the things that they're saying is not hitting, because they're not using specific examples towards the topics that they want to hit, right, or the niche audiences that they want to hit. right? So a lot of this is around, a lot of it, just to kind of give you just a big idea into some of this, a lot of this is going to be around how tight your messaging is. When you have multiple niches or topics you want to speak on, your messaging is going to be very important. You got to really be sticking close to that message, because that is what's going to get people in. When you only have one, it's a lot easier, because I could talk about everything in regards to that topic, and everything that I talk about, let's say if I'm doing coaching, and I know that's everything I'm helping people with, everything that I talk about, I can relate back to coaching. So now I know anybody who comes to me is going to be related, is going to want coaching. If I'm talking about two different things, then people are going to come to me. They might come for the coaching, but then they'll tune out anytime I start talking about, writing books, or anytime I talk about anything, but it's similar. So that's the same. That's what I'm saying, is that they'll tune out the part that isn't specifically relevant to them if your messaging isn't tight. And so you always want to be creating like these parallels in terms of your content, in terms of when you speak, and why one niche is related to the other, and that is related to the other. So like if you ever hear me talking about speaking and coaching at the same time, I always talk about how both play with each other. I always talk about how speaking and coaching is two flip sides of the same coin, right? Both is like heads and tails on a coin. Whatever you speak about is selfish if you don't have a coaching program on it, because there's a certain percentage of people who are going to want to take that to the next level. And if you don't give them that opportunity to master it, you just gave them an appetizer because you spoke for 30 minutes or an hour. And now you got them hyped and they ready to go take on the world. And they say, okay, I want to learn this. Can I work with you? And you say, oh, I don't have a program. What? Okay, well, now I'm serious. I'm going to go spend my money with somewhere else. But it's selfish because you taught it to me, so I want to learn it from you. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the whole idea behind this. So really keep your messaging tight, more of the story. If you're going to choose multiple niches, I think you can do it. Make sure your examples are super relevant. Make sure that you, whatever your niche audiences are or your niche topics are, try to make it as close together as possible, so somebody in one scenario could see how it can affect them in the other scenario or the other niche, and it's going to make it relevant for them to want to listen. Like that's super, super key. If I'm coaches and people who want to create courses, well, that's pretty much damn near the same, right? You want to create a course, something that somebody can go in and watch, a masterclass. Well, if I'm talking about creating an online course or online masterclass, my coaches are probably going to listen because they know that it's relevant to their business and that they might want to add a course. If I'm talking to coaches and authors, well, two separate niche audiences, but my coaches are probably going to listen because potentially they want to write a book or what they're coaching people on. You feel what I'm saying? So they're not going to tune out when I'm talking about that topic or when I'm coaching them on that topic as my clients. So that is why it's super important that you tighten it as much as possible, your examples, but then also whatever niche audiences or topics you choose, you make them as congruent as possible. All right, so I hope that this was powerful for you. Just make sure that you go ahead and you watch these other videos that I got, because these are really going to help you continue to level up your coaching business.